right, here we are at an undisclosed location in central Ontario, and we're going to be doing a Generation 3 Starlink install from start to finish, including activation. And I am a professional at this. I've been doing Starlink since the very beginning, since the spring of 2021. I've done probably 1,000 of them. And before that, I spent 10 years doing the old-fashioned satellite internet. So I do know what I'm doing. Okay, let's start with an unboxing. It's always a fight. Okay, so here's our dish. The little kickstand that it comes with. Just like that. But that's obviously not a proper mount for what we're doing. Our beautiful instruction manual. Here is our router, power supply, 50 feet of cable, and the power cord. Okay, so we're done with the box. Okay, so on to the mounting. You gotta get this out of here. So you just lift up and pull. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about mounts real quick. If you wanna make a mount out of this, it does involve metalwork and welding. It's much easier just to order one. So the kind that I always like to order is one like this. It comes in 2 pieces. So when you need to adjust it on the pole, it's easy to do that. So that just mounts on the wall or the roof or whatever. You put it straight up in the air. And then this part goes on the dish. So it's actually a 2-piece mount. And you just slide it in there. And then these screw in to hold it in place. There's little rubber pieces that go under there, but I'm not doing them right now because this mount is coming right back off again. So if you're using a mount like this, just make sure you tilt it to basically the same angle as it was when the kickstand was on it. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's not very particular about it. Okay, but for this application, I'm going to take this mount back out. Okay, so let me explain the situation here. This is going to be an RV model or a roaming model. So the customer is going to take it down and take it with them on vacation in a few weeks. And then when they come back, they're going to put it back up. So that mount would have to go with them if that's the case, and that's not that convenient. So we're just going to use an old satellite TV J-arm, and we're going to mount that up there. And then we're going to use one of these pipe adapters. You can get them from Starlink themselves. I got this off of Amazon. Put the cable in, make sure it's all the way in. Put that on top. Snap it in. There's your pipe mount installed. All right, so let's talk about line of sight now. So you're going to download the Starlink app onto your phone, and you're going to hold it up in the air, and it's going to tell you that there's obstructions here and there and everywhere, unless you're wide open in the middle of a parking lot or something. It's not accurate. It's never been accurate. The field of view is much narrower. So basically, you just make sure you're aimed to the northerly direction, which is this way, and you just want to make sure that you have a reasonable amount of open sky. Basically, with a Starlink, it takes 12 hours to run its course. So if you install it and it's obstructed to the point where it's a problem, you might have to move it, but you can't tell right on the spot. So this one's fine because we have a nice open sky. There's not going to be any issue, but if you're more buried into trees, then it might take you a couple attempts and you might have to go up. Okay, so I'll probably get more into these installations in the future on satellite dishes just in general, but this is a steel roof on this building. Steel in Canada and most of the northern United States is brutal for snow slides. So if you look, this is what's called a snow guard up here. That's supposed to prevent the snow from sliding off the roof. Now you can probably see if you look close enough, it's all bent. That's how brutal snow slides are. So that will make your dish go down real bad and it'll crash down on the deck. Anyway, having said that, we need to pick a location where the dish is not in danger of an ice slide. Here is absolutely not in danger of it because it's so far from that roof, and there's no roof here to cause a slide. And our line of sight is over here. So that's where we're going to put the dish. All right, so this is not a situation here because this is an outside roof, but I'm just going to show you what you do if you were putting on the roof of a normal house. So you take this stuff, it's called duct seal. I got it at the electrical section in Home Depot. Or you can use roof tape, would be perfect for it, but it's not practical to buy roof tape for one job. Blue skin also works if you have some of that around, but the idea is this. I'm going to take some putty, and because I'm going right into a rafter, I only need to put 2 in. But anyway, you'll put this wherever you're going to be driving the screw in. And what this stuff does is as the screw plows itself into the material, this will go with it and wrap the threads, and it will prevent water from getting in there. And ideally, you're going to want to use roofing screws, so you have that rubber washer there. Yeah, these are the ones that come with the mount. They don't have the rubber washer. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so we got our mount, we got our screws, we got the putty on there, we got our wrench, and we got a level up there. So here, we're going to put the mount on. Okay, that's not going anywhere. Now, this does not have to be exactly level, but you don't want the thing to be noticeably off level. Okay, so you just tighten these all a little bit until you get the thing where it wants to be somewhat snug. Keeping in mind you're probably going to have to adjust it. So just finger tight, that way we can just spin her. I guess before I get too far ahead of myself, I should just tell you that ordinarily I would fascia mount it, but the fascia, if you can see, it's slanted that way, and the J-arm can't compensate for that much. So it had to go up here on this instance. Okay, so now the dish is mounted. We have 50 feet of cable, and we only need maybe 35 or 40. So we're gonna leave a little bit extra at the dish. It's called a service loop. Not really necessary in this application, but if you wanted to put on a longer arm, let's say that you weren't sure if you needed to go up higher, if you leave this long, then you don't have to deal with the cable when you have to readjust it. Now when the customer takes the dish off here and they go away, he's just gonna unplug the cable, and then ideally he'll just put it under here, which I think is what he will do, but you wanna just make sure you don't let the thing fill up with water. Okay, be neat and tidy. Cut your tails off. Okay, that's that part. Now we'll clip the cable across. Okay, so this is really simple. If you can, get yourself some clips. These are just meant for RG6 cables, so coaxials. All right, so this probably won't show up on camera really good just because of the lighting in here, but I'm just gonna clip it along to the top of the fascia over to the wall over there. So you can go do this about every 2 or 3 feet. It's really a personal preference. Just make sure it doesn't sag. Okay, so this is going to be different on every single building. So in this particular instance, I'm going to put it over top of this. I'm used to having too little cord, and this time I got too much cord. So yeah, I'm just going to go over this. So this is where it's going in. Now I can't quite put it in there yet because that hole's not big enough. That was drilled by the customer. So I've just got to go in and widen it. So what you do is you come down below the hole, because we're gonna have to create a drip loop. Even though we're under a roof, it's just a good policy to do. So when drilling a hole through the wall, probably deal with this in another video too. If you know exactly where it's gonna come out, like if you're drilling through a header into a basement, it's fine to do it from the outside. But when you're unsure, do it from the inside. That way you know you're not gonna hit an electrical box or go right through the middle of a molding or something like that. So I'm not gonna show it from the inside because the customers are in there watching TV, but that's how it's done. Let's assume that I drilled all the way through. I'm going to go drill the rest from the inside. That way I make sure I'm in the same spot. I don't need to create a whole extra hole. Okay, so the dish is plugged in. It's online. The dish is not aligned yet. I'm going to do that afterwards. It's not horrible. It's good enough to work. But we only got an hour to activate this. So in case there's any hiccups or whatever, I want to activate it before I fine-tune the dish because I don't want to waste precious possible minutes there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi on the phone. Okay. And then the network is going to come up as Starlink and unsecured. Your phone might automatically connect to it too. Okay, so we're now connected to the Starlink unsecured network, and then we're going to close that. Okay, so now we're hooked onto the Starlink app, and you can see it's online. Right now we have full internet, like I said, for 1 hour. It says right on the screen right now, internet access will be restricted in 55 minutes if Starlink is not activated. If you have cell reception, it's not a big deal. You just use cellular to do it. Here we do not have cell reception. So I got to get this done. So I'm going to click on Activate Starlink. And then it's going to pop up and it's going to have it pre-filled out with the serial number. And then we're doing a new account. Okay, so now choose service. Before we can do that, we have to go down and put in the address. So I'm going to try to type in the address and we're going to see if it registers it. If the address is like an A, a B, or a C, or a D, or whatever, doesn't really matter. It's not like they're going to mail you anything. Okay, and looks like we do have a match. Okay, so now I'm going to, if this was a normal install, I would click on residential. And we also have Roam, business, which I've never used, land mobility, maritime. That's if you use it on a boat. You won't need to install it like this if you're doing it on a boat. Anyway, so we're going to click on Roam. And we're going to go down to checkout. Okay, so for Roam, we have an optional 50 gig package for $70 a month or an unlimited package for $189 a month. Give me a minute. I didn't know we were going to have this option. Okay, so I just asked the customer what they're going to be doing with it. They're going to be streaming a lot of TV, so we're going to give them the unlimited because otherwise they're going to use up all their data and it's just going to be a nightmare. Okay, so I'm going to click on unlimited. And I'm going to go to checkout. Now I'm going to put in the street address. This one is where you can put in, I believe, we'll see as we go here. Okay, so P, I'm not going to give you the rest of it. So this address, it's a street address with a letter C at the end of it. For this, I will put it in because this is not going to be as finicky as the locating part of the app. Okay, so before I proceed, I'm just going to tell you, when I went into the activation and I put the address in, it popped up as a suggested address. If that does not happen, on the right-hand side of the address box, there's a little circle, and if you click on that, it'll give you a compass reading. And basically, whatever it comes up on the compass, hopefully it's not too far off, just kind of accept that. And then after you get to the point where I just crossed there, where you're manually putting in the address with the postal code and all that stuff, then put in the correct address. And after the dish locates itself using its GPS, it will auto-correct that. And if it doesn't, you're at least now an active Starlink customer, so even though it won't work, you still are online and you can put in a ticket, and then as soon as it gets to a person, the person will be able to fix it. If you let it time out, you're screwed, if you don't have cell reception. Okay, so now I'm going to put in the credit card information. So let me just give you all the numbers and the codes for all that, and the customer's name and birth date and all that stuff, right? Recurring payment, taxes, total due today. So right out the gate here, they're charging us, or they're charging the customer for the first month of service. We bought the dish at Best Buy, which of course is why we have to activate it. If you order it from Starlink, all of this is done before it even gets to your place. Okay, so I'm just gonna verify everything. Oh, it's like I forgot to put in some information at the top here, so let me do that. Now his email address is for his soon-to-be former service provider, so he's got to create a Gmail account. Okay, Starlink order confirmed. So at this point, if we have problems, at least we're an established customer. Okay, so now we're going to click on set up password. Now this is the password for your account. Your email address is your username. And the password is going to be this one. And I don't know if it's going to be the same when you watch this or where you are, but it has to be 12 characters long. It's ridiculous. So in about half an hour, I'll have it all typed in twice. Okay, I'm going to make sure everything's the same. Okay, so the password is taken and the phone's asking me if I want to save it because it's our phone. I am not going to save it. Okay, so the account is now activated. So we just have to go back into the Starlink app. Okay, so it's saying Wi-Fi not configured. We're going to do that. If this is a residential one, we're going to see what happens here. If this was a residential one, it's going to pop up in a minute or so and say restricted, basically giving you an indication the dish is in the wrong location. Just give it 10 or 15 minutes and then it will reset. I don't know why it does that. It's like it gets confused while the account is being activated, and it's thrown me for a loop a couple times. But I've just learned to be patient and wait for it. Okay, so we're going to configure the Wi-Fi. So what does the customer want the Wi-Fi to be called? Where did I write this? Okay, there we are. Okay, 8 characters. Make sure it's what the customer wants. Take the extra time to make sure everything's absolutely right, because changing it after the fact is very inefficient. As an efficiency expert, it really bothers me. No, it bothers you too, because then you got to go back in and sometimes you have to reboot the thing, and sometimes you have to factory default the thing. So it's best just to make sure everything is right before you start. Okay, and now it's applying the settings, so we got a gear going around. It takes about a minute, and then it'll come back on, and it will have the Wi-Fi password put into it. Okay, so as I'm waiting for that to go, I'm gonna dig out the Allen key for me to realign for me to align the dish. Okay, so there's the Wi-Fi, it popped up. We're gonna join it. Okay, so it has downloaded an update, which is gonna install at 3:37 a.m. and that's fine, we're gonna leave it at that. Okay, so I'm gonna go to dish alignment. Wait and see what that is. It might not pop up with that restricted thing because it is a Roam version, so it can work anywhere in North America, so it might not be that particular. Okay, so as you can see, the dish is out of alignment. So now I'm gonna go up here and give it a fine tune. Very careful with the phone here. And you're just gonna turn it a little bit at a time. As you can see, the screen is adjusting for it, and boom, we're aligned. But I'm gonna do a little bit better than that. I wanna get it as centered as I can. Okay. So now I have to just make sure that the customer understands when they take this with them on their trip that they know that they have to do this. Make sure we snug her down real good. We don't want it to fly off in the wind. Okay, so like I said, now I don't know if it's going to say it on the screen here. Let's go to obstructions. Starlink is calibrating and gathering data on obstructions. This usually takes about an hour. It's going to take it should take up to 12 hours. And then if there are satellites that are obstructed, the dish will account for that. Definitely has accomplished a lot over the last few years. All right, now for the speed test. Right out the gate. It's only 140. 113, and the upload is going to be around 20. And our ping rate is 35 milliseconds. So yeah, that's good. Now keep in mind the thing's not working at full capacity because it just went online a few minutes ago. So sometimes if we go in and do it again, oh, there we go. We're going to use this one. All right, so it came back at a mere 266 down, and usually fairly consistently around 20 upload, 23 upload. So 35 milliseconds for this. Viasat 2 runs at 400 milliseconds, and all of the other satellite internet from Viasat and from HughesNet run at 600 milliseconds. So this is way, way, way faster. And the upload speed is huge. A lot of people just want to focus on the download speed. Download speed of 266, it looks really good and it's very impressive. The upload speed of 23, that's money. Now we just got to go put the password into all the customers' devices. All right, there we have it. Starlink Generation 3 install professionally from beginning to end activation. If you have any questions about any of this, including any of the earlier generations or anything to do with satellite, leave them in the comments below. And be sure to like and subscribe and help us grow this new channel. And if we have any other content to show you, we'll put it in the box over there. All right, thanks for watching.